Well, it's exciting to be getting to the end of a year. It's hard to believe. I don't know about for you, but a lot of things, thankfully, this year got back to normal. The travel, the events, the classes that were in person. And as Edge Factor, we've been so busy all over the place, telling all sorts of stories. In fact, we're really excited about a new tour that we're just starting to plan. And of course, for us, tours in a year, they're always marked by stories. Stories that help us understand perhaps some of the difficulties that other people have faced so that we can learn from them. Stories that maybe move us towards action. And as I look at my career and I look at the people that I work with and I look at the many, many lives that we get to intersect, we've just been so thankful for the stories that we've told this year. Why? Because I look ahead at the future and I think about the faces of all the people that we're looking to lead our countries, the ones that are going to lead families, the ones that are going to lead companies into whatever next looks like for the world. And these faces of the future need to face the future with core strengths. And that's what stories help us learn. And if I reflect back on some of the people that we've met this year, I'm really excited about these incredible faces. I remember rolling the tour bus in and starting to work on a project with Hillary, and her recounting the fact that she had to get out of her comfort zone. In fact, she had to get really comfortable with the fact that she was uncomfortable entering into a rock competition. Why? Because she was a mariachi player, which in and of itself for me was really interesting because I think about mariachi as older men. But the fact that they got into this competition, competing as mariachis in a rock competition, opened up all sorts of doors. In fact, they went on to win the competition. But most importantly, I think there was a lesson there where sometimes you have to say yes to something, an opportunity that comes your way that maybe you're not even comfortable with. But the reality is that might be the thing that gets you into that magical spot that you learned a lesson that was going to be really crucial for your career. And I think when I look at so many of the people that I work with, when people are willing to be uncomfortably comfortable with that thing that they didn't know they could do, that becomes an incredible character trait for your career. And I know for many of you, that's going to be something you're going to have to stare down, getting really, really into that moment where you're just, I don't know if I could do this, but you know what, you probably can, and you just have to actually go for it. Another incredible story that unfolded this year was the story of Drew Crow. Now, if you followed his life, you realize early on there were a lot of mistakes that this guy made. He made some poor life choices, but you know what? They didn't define him. In fact, as he looks back, there were the moments that he owned those mistakes, recognized he wanted a different path, and he almost can't believe that he looks back at how did he go from running the streets to running a classroom as a professor, and then now going on tour as a public speaker, inspiring other people to follow in his footsteps. Your past does not need to define you. In fact, your mistakes can be that magical moment. If you learn how to own a mistake, that is often the place where you realize this is something that is going to empower a really great life choice in the future. And many work environments, they're not great at letting you do that. But if you can find that spot where they let you fail fast and you don't push that mistake onto someone else, but you own it, you work with your team to figure out what the solution is, and then you don't let that define you, you believe that's sometimes where the magic can happen. Our travels also brought us to Iceland. We were working on a story that for me was very meaningful. What I did not realize before I started working on this project was how many indigenous communities do not have access to clean water. And there's been a lot of talk. What do we do about this? You know, there's a lot of families who are in a crisis because they're drinking things that are not good for them because they don't have access to what to me was a basic human right of clean water. Well, in today's day and age, you would think that would be something that would be easily solved, but you know what? It's far more complex than I realized. But what I was really encouraged by was watching Galen and Jonathan and Katie and Brad, all these different groups coming together and talking about a solution. They were communicating where the problems were, what the issues had been historically, and ideating around what might be a solution in the future. Communication is a foundational skill that when you can prove that you have it, that you can actually take problems, communicate through them, and bring solutions, it will make you invaluable in your career. The bus also had to stop in one of those big construction sites. If you've ever been to a big city and you're watching the high rises get built, I don't know about you, but for me, I've often watched people in PPE, the orange vests, thinking, my goodness, there is an awful lot of people working on so many different aspects of this build. And we went on the inside of this, and one of the things that was very clear was it is just hard work. Some of these people are incredibly gifted, skilled at bringing all of the pieces together. But you know what? When you show up ready to work, that's when you are part of the change. You're part of the build. You're part of the progress. And that's when we were filming with Jamie McMillan. Jamie is just such a great example. If you ever hang out with her, you see she shows up ready to work. And I think for a lot of us, that is going to be an attitude that will separate us from the crowd. When you show up ready to work, that is when you actually become part of something way bigger than you. You are the one that will be depended on by a team. And that ultimately for me was what was so clear in Jamie's story. She was a female in the workplace on a construction site. You know what? That historically hasn't been easy. She showed up though and totally proved what others thought that's not a girl's role, or maybe she can't do this job. You know what? Jamie proved them wrong simply by showing up ready to work and saying yes when the opportunities came her way. Speaking of opportunities, it was really interesting to me talking to Chloe. I was out on the West Coast. We were working on a project about plastics in the ocean. Now, I don't know if you've ever thought about this or if you've ever gone snorkeling and you've looked underwater and seen when debris floats by you. It's not only frustrating, but it's also incredibly dangerous to the wildlife in the ocean. But it's also really dangerous to humans because the fish are consuming microplastics. For me, Chloe was such a great example of somebody who absolutely recognized that there was a need, but she created an innovative solution. She said, you know, all this plastic, if we could actually turn this back into a usable form of plastic, we could take waste from the ocean and we could repurpose it and turn it into other plastic objects in the future. That to me is an exciting character trait. If you are an innovative problem solver, it is going to absolutely separate you. It is going to empower you. It might be the foundational way that you, like Chloe, could start your own organization or your own company. Because it's not just about identifying problems. It's sometimes about the innovative problem-solving solution that you bring to the market that is going to be what's going to actually be your thing and your business idea. Well, I say all of these things to you because for me, these are foundational truths. I've watched so many people through the lens this year. I think about as we wrap up the school year and you look at what's next for you and you're graduating and you're going into the future. You are the face of the future. You need to face the future with foundational skills. And I hope today we've shared a little bit from the lessons that we've learned from the people that we've filmed with. I really look forward to the coming years because I think technology, innovation, the human mind, there is a lot of exciting opportunities and we need you to step into the future excited to take it on.